And by the way, I've been stalking you on Twitter.
Yeah,
so.
that's fine. That's what Twitter's for.
Hi everyone, this is Jean from Happy Indulgence, and I've got Victoria Schwab with me, who is the author of the Darker Shade of Magic series, of Vicious and Vengeful, and the City of Ghosts series, and also up to, I think, 16 published works.
Yeah, it's either 15 or 16. I can never actually remember, but it's somewhere between 14 and 16.
How is your visit to Australia going?
It's been wonderful. It's been really tiring. I feel like I finally am getting over the jet lag in the middle of like an 11-country tour. So Australia's the third country on that tour, so I'm still vaguely human-shaped. It's going wonderfully. I got to go to Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, and now the Gold Coast, and I'm just having a blast.
Awesome. And as a fellow dog lover, I know it'll be hard leaving your doggy at home. How's that going?
I miss her so much. I miss her. She's living in France right now with my family until summer while I'm doing this like 3-month tour. And it's, bless my parents, but she's she's like 10 and a half months old now, and she destroys one thing a day. And so like 2 days ago it was a sandal. Yesterday it was an entire fern plant. She just ripped the fronds off one by one in the middle of the night. She's going through a stuffed animal a day. She's just a monster. She looks like a Muppet and she acts like a monster, and I miss her more than air.
I hope they're sending you daily updates.
Oh, they video chat with me so that I can see her. But she has like 2 modes. She's either attacking something or she's sleeping. So like she's either a blur on the screen or she's just like a puddle of dark fur. So I do miss her. I like really miss her.
I'm a huge fan of Vicious and Vengeful.
Thank you. That makes me so happy.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I have to thank you for writing Doll as a dog that cannot die, or does die, but can literally not die.
I will never write an animal who dies and stays dead because it causes me a lot of stress. Like, it's the one thing I tap out with a book. If I read a book and there's gratuitous animal slaughter, like, I'm out. I don't care how good the story is, it's just something I don't. You can kill as many people as you like and I'll be with you, but like the moment you start killing animals, like I don't enjoy. That's not the kind of escapism I enjoy. So yeah, I always joke that with Dole, yes, he does die at least one time per book, but he always comes back, and it could be like him and a bowl of kibble at the end of the world. Like that dog will be fine. That dog will never die and stay dead.
Thank you. I have literally run into books and dog scene, I'm like, nah, I hate this book, I'll rant about it on social media.
Well, but now I get nervous whenever there is an animal in the book to start with, because I think you better not kill this animal. Like, if you kill this animal, we're going to have a problem.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but it's like, this book, like, Vicious really confuses the does the dog die algorithm, because, like, technically the dog dies, and then Sydney, who has the ability to resurrect the dog, brings the dog immediately back. So it is a little traumatic for about a page, because the dog gets shot, the dog has been hit by a car, Victor puts the dog out of its misery, Sydney resurrects the dog. And so, but I feel like in the end it's okay.
So if you were an EO, what power would you have?
So I've thought about this a lot, obviously, because I get asked some for variation of this question quite often, but if I were an EO, I'd want the ability to control time, but only moving forward, because going backwards is when things go wrong. Going backwards when you mess up a timeline, going backward is when you cause some kind of catastrophe, but I want to be able to pause, slow down, and speed up. So only moving forward.
I love that. And how does your inspiration for the EO powers come from? Do you model the character or the power, or?
Yeah, I mean for the villains, or the villain series, Vicious and Vengeful so far, like the EO power is really particular to the way in which a person dies and their psychology, because like the physiological aspect is the nature of the death and the near death, and then the psychological aspect is their headspace at the time of that accident. And so they are inextricable. Like, it's impossible to write a character without understanding I don't just give arbitrary deaths. So sometimes with a character I'll know what I want the superpower to be, and then I'll back up and I'll figure out what kind of headspace and near-death experience would result in this superpower. But it's really closely tethered to the identity of the character.
What I really want to know is how you manage multiple projects at once, because obviously you've got a lot of characters, a lot of timelines, a lot of worlds happening together. Do you pick up a book and dedicate chunks of time to it?
No, I only write one book at a time. I can't, because my world building is fairly complex and it's very different from book to book. I can't jump in and out of world building and voice. So what I do is essentially I have a creative front burner and a creative back burner. And so at any given time, there's one project on the creative front burner, like per format. So I have like a comic, a Steel Prince series on one front burner, and then like a novel on the other front burner, because those two things I can do. Because the comic, it's not actually about my descriptions and voice and things like that, though I do the dialogue, it's very different. And then for the novel, I'm only actually writing one novel at a time. And then on the creative back burner is everything that's on deck. And so there are usually like 4 to 5 projects with low heat, I always say, where I'm like adding ingredients and I'm stirring and I'm mulling over them so that when one of the creative front burners opens up, I can move a project forward. So I'm always thinking about 4 or 5 projects at a time, but I'm only actually working on one.
Oh wow. And do you write from the front to the back, or is it everywhere at once?
So I'm really messy. I know my ending first, so I never actually start writing a book until I know the ending, but I usually don't actually write the ending, I just outline it. And then I have a pretty good outline of the rest of the book, what I like to call my map. Like, people think that you divide into either pantser or plotter, that you either have to fly by the seat of your pants, you have to know everything that happens. I don't think that's the case. When I build a map, like a guide for my story, what I'm doing is I'm giving myself like a terrain, a lay of the land, so that I don't get terribly lost. Like, I can go off book, I can go off course, but I know how to find my way back. So, and then when it comes to the actual writing, I write out of order. So, but I do that because, like, for instance, the book I'm working on right now is very emotionally intense, like, it's very introspective, and some days I'm not ready to write certain bits. Like, there was a scene that's one of the hardest scenes in all of Adam LaRue's book that I'm writing right now, and I knew I needed to be in a very specific headspace to be able to write this book, and so I could wait and I could save that scene, and I knew when I sat down to work that day that that was a good headspace, that I was there for that. Some days you want to write a sex scene, and some days you want to write like a more action-packed moment, and so writing out of order allows me to like pick the scene that I feel best equipped to write that day.
Okay, and what is your daily schedule like?
I don't have one. Like, that's the thing. Like, it would be a grand luxury. When I'm at home in Edinburgh, I have one because I have a dog. That dog creates a schedule in my life. I get up, I take care of her. I sit down and I work for like 2 hours before I have to get up and take care of her again, sit down for like an hour, get up and take care of her, go to the gym. Like, there's a schedule. But I'm on the road almost 9 months of the year. Like, I travel fairly continuously, and that means that every time I make a framework for what my schedule needs to be, every time I make a caveat, what I'm really making is an excuse. So if I have to have a certain, XYZ in order to write, then what happens if I don't have all of those components? I can't write. And so I try to create as few parameters as possible so that I can write in a hotel room. Or I went out this morning, I got up at like 6:30, and I went and I found a cafe and I sat outside by the beach and I wrote for like 45 minutes and I came back. So like, I write in the margins. I write whenever I can. And I think it's also really important to remember that when I say write, I don't mean type. Like, I might have a very limited amount of time each day to type, but I can be writing all day. I can be thinking about writing and thinking and planning the beats and mulling over it. So I probably only spend an hour and a half to 2 hours a day typing, but I'm writing most of the day.
Oh, wow. I know, because I like what you said about a lot of the writing process happens in your head and everything.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, so I know The Near Witch just came out, which I have just read and loved.
Oh, thank you.
Did it bring back memories for your journey? Because it's,
Yeah.
You've certainly had an adventure.
It's been pretty messy. Like, I'm so glad it's back. I'm so glad readers are finding it. But, I mean, I wrote that book when I was 21, and I'm 31 now. When it came out, it was too quiet at a time when everything was loud, and so it didn't do well. It disappeared with a whisper 18 months after it came out. It was never really given its shot because I didn't have my readership yet. I didn't have the audience to support it. And so it's very surreal having it back. I'm very glad it's back, but I think that the emotional, scar tissue is always going to be a bit tough for me.
I just thought it was so whimsical and I could not stop reading it. Even with a baby, I was like, oh my god, I just have to find out what happened.
It's important for me that it's available because it's the beginning. Like, none of the other books happen without that book. And I think you can see a lot of the themes and motifs that I would go on to explore more intensely and more confidently in my later books. And you can see that I'm just starting to explore them in that book.
And I think it's amazing because you write using so many different voices across so many different audiences, and like each of them have a really strong feeling about it. Like, how do you go with switching up your voices and audiences?
The audience is not hard for me because I write for a version of myself. So I'm either writing for 10-year-old me with City of Ghosts, I'm writing for 17-year-old me with this Savage Song and the Archive, I'm writing for whatever my current age when I'm writing my adult books. Like Vicious was 25-year-old me, A Darker Shade Magic was 27, Vengeful is so clearly 30. Like that book is 30 in a nutshell for me. So the audience is not hard. The voice for me is so hard. In fact, I tend to have like a massive existential crisis every time it's time to extricate from one book and enter another one. That like liminal space between creative pillars is very hard because in that space I doubt everything. In that space I doubt that I'll ever be able to write another book. I doubt that I'll ever find a voice. I doubt that, because like my books by the time they hit shelves are operating with a level of confidence in the voice that I don't have when I'm first drafting them. That confidence is something that comes with layering and with revision, and so I tend to like truly panic. I mean, I'm 17 books in terms of drafting now, because Tunnel of Bones will come out this fall and that one's done, but like 17 books in and I still genuinely just completely panic every time I have to get out of one voice and get into the next. It's not a clean like door open, door shut maneuver.
Yeah, because it'll probably be hard picking one up and then coming back, several years later.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh my gosh. So I know both Darker Shade of Magic and Vicious has been optioned before. Can you tell us any more about the process?
Honestly, no, like the thing is, everything's doing what it's supposed to do, but like film and TV make publishing look very, very fast. Everything takes time, everything is messy, things get canceled 3 times before they get made. Like, I have like creative hands in it, like I'm very connected to all the projects that are in development, but they take time, and like I'm a popcorn optimist. Like I'll believe a thing is happening when I can sit down in a movie theater and watch it, and up until that moment I don't trust anything, because I've now like been on the backside of it, like behind the scenes for 5 or 6 years in the Hollywood side of it. It's amazing anything gets made, and it's truly amazing anything is good.
If you were stuck on a desert island, which of your characters would you want to be with?
Weirdly, I'd like to be with Lila Bard and Eli. Eli is very good at things. Like Eli he's very smart. He's good at processing. He would have no trouble killing anything. Like same with Victor, but like Victor is a tiny bit more, not apathetic, but I feel like Eli would like get shit done a little faster.
Yeah.
Like Victor would be working if it benefited him, and not doing it if it didn't benefit him.
Is the goal survival for you?
Yeah, it is. Though I feel like, but like I don't feel like Eli would kill me. I feel like Victor would protect only himself.
Yeah.
So like, and then Lila's just cunning. Like Lila can get anything done. Lila's an insider. Like, so Lila's a really interesting character to write because I write outsiders. And Lila is an outsider in that she's born outside of an environment that she then enters. But once she enters a new environment, she can become an insider almost instantly. She's in Red London for like 4 months and she's already like learned Arnesian and taken over a pirate ship. Like she hits the ground running everywhere she goes. So I feel like Lila would be good at that.
Yeah.
And I feel like Lila and Eli would somehow work together. Like I'd never put Lila and Victor in the same room. I feel like neither one of them would come out alive. But like Lila and Eli, I think I could get them to work.
So if you were stuck in one of the Londons, which one would it be?
Well, I would choose to be in either Red London or White London, depending on what powers I have. If I have no powers, I definitely don't want to be in White London. Like no powers could still probably get by in Red London. If I'm powerful, definitely White London.
Yes, definitely, and that's the Slytherin talking.
Yes,
as
exactly.
Right. I saw on Twitter that you caught up with Jay Kristoff.
I did.
Is there going to be something in the works?
I mean, who knows, right? Like we're both very busy. We're both booked, literally, pun intended, for the next 4 or 5 years. Also, Jay's much faster than I am. We were discussing this earlier of like, there are people I'd love to pair up with and love to co-write with, but as we've established, my process is so neurotic and so strange that it's not just a matter of like, who do you want to write a story with, it's a matter of like, who can you write a book with without you trying to kill each other. Jay and I have yet to establish yet whether we could. Maybe one day, who knows? I think everyone would end up dead if we did, but no plans in the works right now.
And then what's next for you?
So up next for me, Tunnel of Bones, which is the sequel to City of Ghosts, come out this fall, this September. And then my next book is called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's about a young woman in early 1700s France who is living the kind of life where she has become afraid she's going to die in the same place she was born. Wow. And have never seen the world beyond it because it's that time period, you know? And so in order to escape this life, she makes a deal with the devil. And she summons the devil and she says that she wants to live forever because she's not sure how much time would be enough. And the devil says no, because the devil doesn't get your soul until the deal is done. And so it doesn't really benefit him to do a deal where somebody lives forever. And she, in a moment of recklessness, says to the devil that he can have her soul when she doesn't want it anymore.
Oh gosh.
And so, sensing an opportunity, the devil grants Addie the ability to live forever and curses her to be forgotten by everyone she meets.
Oh my gosh, I totally got goosebumps. I can't wait to see.
So that's the book I'm working on finishing right now.
Wow, I can't wait to see how that goes.
Yeah.
And will we see a bit of Australia in any of your books?
Probably not in any of the most recent ones, but I mean, I'm sure I'll have to come back and do a little bit more research, but I've certainly loved what I've seen.
Oh yes, I hope you do come back, and thank you for visiting us.
Thank you.